Hello, and welcome to the Guilbault Girls Show, where you will have the opportunity to hear from mothers, fathers, siblings, and individuals themselves about their journey of living with a disability. I know, it's called Guilbault Girls, but we have a bonus for you as we get the Guilbault boys to interview some of the dads and siblings and get their perspectives too. We'll also have special guests from time to time to share the many resources that are available to those living with a disability and their families. So get ready to laugh, smile, cry, maybe even get a little angry when you hear some of these stories of their day-to-day struggles. But let's not forget their many triumphs. As they say, it takes a village. And if it weren't for our village, we wouldn't be where we are today. So join us. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Guilbault Girls Show. I'm your host, Karen Guilbault, and today's guest is Angela Sittler. You may recognize her from our last episode as we dove into her personal story. So today, we're going to share more of what Angela's role is as a family supports manager at the Arc NCR, Northern Chesapeake Region. So Angela came to the Arc Northern Chesapeake Region from the Maryland Office for Genetics and People with Special Health Care Needs, where she was the Family Resource Coordinator since 2011. While she was there, she created a searchable resource database for families and providers statewide and gave presentations on finding resources, caregiver stress, and supporting the families of children and youth with different abilities. She's also a mother of two sons that have different abilities, one with Asperger's, ADHD, and anxiety, and the other with
Alpine syndrome.
Thank you. In caring for them throughout their lives, she's learned how to find needed resources and was able to use her knowledge to serve other families on her local CCAC, which is Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee, the Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital Family Advisory Council, Johns Hopkins Pediatric Family Advisory Council, and as a past member of the Maryland Caregivers Commission. She earned her master's in health science with a dual concentration in community health and health administration from Towson University in 2018. In her free time, she volunteers with her local fire department and is the vice president of the Alpine Syndrome Foundation. She's also newly engaged. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
So I know if you've listened to the last podcast, and I know Angela, she's a friend of mine, and we were also coworkers, and I love her to death.
I miss you.
I know. So I actually don't work for the Arc anymore. I left in March to focus on my daughter, and I am a licensed health and life insurance agent in the state of Maryland and Delaware. So if you are in need, make sure you reach out to me. Nice plug there, right? You like that?
It's true. Why not? Any chance you get,
Exactly. So I encourage everyone to really visit the website, which is arcncr.org. There's so many resources on there, and Nathan Rhodes, he is amazing.
Yes.
He did such a great job on the website and putting everything together. So when you go to the website at the top, you click on services, and then you choose from the drop-down family support services. Then it has little icons, if you will, that you would click on for more information. So, and actually, I'm going to back up because there was more in here about that. Yes, see, squirrel. So
it's fine. I call it ADOS, attention deficit. Oh, shiny.
I love it. So before we go into step by step on the website and read those icons and what they're all for and go in, I want to just give you a little bit more background about the Arc and myself, because not only did I work for them for 5.5 years, I learned about the family support services, which holds a very special place in my heart, because I was introduced with them and became heavily involved back when Faith was like 6 or 7 years old. So it's been a long time. And it was when we lived in Cecil County. So during that time, it was funded through the DDA, which is the Developmental Disability Administration. They had staff working in Harford County, and then they had staff in Cecil County. And for 6 years, I helped facilitate education parent initiative, parent advocacy classes, EPI for short, in Cecil County. And then they had one in Harford, and then we would come together and do things together and all that good stuff as well. But then DDA stopped the funding, and it went from rolling access to lists, and they stopped giving funds out. So they actually had to do away with the family supports program. It was felt throughout by everyone. You know, a lot of us, we were lost because we didn't have those resources and support anymore. They didn't totally go away, but it wasn't like it wasn't the same. So they were able to bring it back several years ago. And the great thing about it, because they had to find their own funding for it, but the great thing about it is they actually expanded it now to where they're now serving everyone, whether you have a disability or not, from birth to death over an arc of a lifetime. So really it's just come threefold now. So like that was like the biggest thing when that came back, how exciting that was for people knowing that they're going to get those supports again and the resources and get connected with what they need. So yeah,
and
so
I have a great team now too.
Yeah,
so we
absolutely.
really are work well together.
Yeah. So I worked in the treatment foster care department. And then I also worked part-time during COVID as well for family support services doing the social skills program. And that was before you came on.
Yes.
Because then I ended up going full-time in treatment. But I just can't say enough about the ARC and about the family support services and what it has to offer. So, okay, so let's begin before we go in on the website and tell us who the Arc Northern Chesapeake Region is and what is their mission.
Well, you did a really good job of who they are, but the mission is to support individuals and their families over the arc of a lifetime, like you said, from birth to end of life. I don't like using the word death, by empowering people with differing abilities to meet, live, work, and thrive in the community through all of our services that we have, which I can tell them now, or do you want to go into?
Yeah, so I know we're going to focus on the family support services, but let's touch on all the different departments on who they are and what they do.
Sure. Well, we have community living, which is exactly as it sounds. We own the ARC. The ARC owns several houses throughout Hartford County. Off the top
31 to be exact.
Thank you. I'm like, off the top of my head, I can't remember.
See, I knew these because I used to set up the tables out in the out at the library. So I knew I'm like 31.
And we had, and there would. I don't like using the term group homes, but that's the easiest thing for people to remember. But it's several individuals in the home that we match to fit as roommates, and we support them in living that home. We own it, but they kind of live there. We have direct support personnel or DSPs that come in and help them with whatever that household needs to keep running.
And I want to do a plug here real quick too. So we have the 31 homes, and there's usually like 3 or 4 people that live in them.
On average.
But if you want to volunteer and help, if you get in touch with Cheryl at Development, they have where you can go in and for an hour and play games with them. We did that as a whole in the treatment foster care department. We adopted a home, if you will. And I know a lot of the different departments did. And they also, that was one of the things that I shared when I was out in the public, because they're always looking for volunteers to go in and just help and hang out with them and play games and get to know them. And they're awesome.
They're awesome. They are very awesome. Our team also, we're in our second home because they change it every year. So we're in our second home we've adopted. So it's kind of cool. But they are also, the ARC as a whole is hiring a lot of DSPs and all the different departments, well, almost all the departments. So they have open walk-ins all the time as far as job fairs, I guess you could call it. Or you can go on the website and see all the open positions, and it's a great place to work. You know, Karen can tell you that. I will tell you that. So definitely, if you're looking for a great place to work, we need you. So that's community living, exactly like it sounds. Next would be community partners, which these would be it's basically a day program where they go out in the community. They have small groups where they decide, okay, like this group wants to go out to the library today. The individuals want to go bowling, and they pick them up, and they have one of our ARC buses. They go, and they have, of course, the staff with them, and they go do whatever that little group they decide. I guess they decide weekly, monthly, whatever, and they go out and they just go do things in the community. Just have meaningful days, whatever's meaningful to them, they go out and do. And they have a great time. We see so many pictures come back on our weekly highlights email from Development of all the fun things they get to do. It's really cool. Sometimes I want to go out there with them instead of work, right? But you know, it looks like a lot of fun. They have a ton of fun. They celebrate all the holidays and things. It's great. Then, of course, we have employment services, which is a supported employment program, which DOORS is kind of, we have a DOORS representative in there, which is the Department of Rehabilitative Services. So we help them in there. You don't have to have DOORS to get into our employment services. They're just, we help them, in our own little personal representative, I guess. So they go out and we help them find a job, keep the job, give them job skills, whatever that looks like, to have some kind of employment where they can, so they make their own money, be whatever works for them, not just necessarily the janitorial. It could be working at Sephora,
YMCA, or Sephora,
right.
or right.
We have an individual currently working, he's got a job at a golf club, a golf course.
Okay.
And doing, so it all depends on what that individual can do, what they want to do. And we help them, with job coaching and whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah. And then I just want to do another plug. So also with that, I know, plug in for Sherry for the Weebles. So for DOORS,
Absolutely.
that DOORS, and we'll go a little bit more into DOORS later on, but they start out typically from, 14 to 21. But, and again, like she said, they'll meet with you, they'll go over your soft skills and go over how to interview, all that kind of stuff. And then they do internships. So, and then this is where the plug with Sherry too, is because she has, part of her job is she goes out and she finds places that are willing to do an internship for the individuals. And then on the flip side, for the adult side, they also partner with different organizations and job places to get these jobs for the individuals. And also, like my daughter Faith, like when she goes out, she's going to end up needing a job coach. So they hire job coaches as well. So if you are listening to this and anybody or any businesses, small businesses, just any businesses that are looking to allow us to come in and do an internship with the individuals, and or if you're willing to hire on that aspect as well, to make sure that you reach out to the ARC. Okay, sorry, had to plug.
No, you're fine. You're perfectly fine. I'm going to skip over family support for a minute because we're going to come more in detail into my department, which I think is the best department, but I'm a little biased.
And then when it comes to when you're ready for treatment, I can do treatment.
Yes. Well, personal support to be the next one. And that's basically, it's one-to-one, where they would come into the individual's home, or they go out in the community, that individual. It's just literally just one in DSP and the individual doing whatever that individual wants to do that day, or in the home, kind of, because they just need that support to go do whatever it is for them. And of course, they're hiring as well, just because it's a lot of people need the support. And we just don't have the individuals, especially after the pandemic. So definitely need that.
Shortage across the.
Yep. Then of course we have the treatment foster care. For some reason, I always want to call it therapeutic foster care, but treatment foster care, which Karen knows a lot more about than I do.
Yeah. So I worked in the treatment foster care department for 5.5 years. I absolutely love the families that we have and the kids that we have in the program and our staff. So basically, in a nutshell, we're always looking for new families. So the kids are either coming in due to neglect, or abuse. And you're basically opening up your hearts and home for the kid. And it depends upon the situation, on, the parent situation, how long the kid comes in. You could have a child that it'll come in for, a month to, a few months to a year to 3 years, depending upon the age, depending upon the parent. Are they incarcerated, or are they in rehab, or that, the main goal is to get reunified back with the family. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. So, and with therapeutic, so you have your traditional foster care, where they go into, but if they need a higher level of care, then that's when they go to the treatment level. So traditional foster care, you have your social workers. Treatment foster care, you are still having your social workers through the state, but then you're also having social workers through our program, the Arc Northern Chesapeake Region. We are the only therapeutic organization in Harford County program. And so you have our social workers that go in and they write up the therapeutic plans for them. And you just get a lot of extra support. You get higher stipend. They do have higher needs. So some go, are in therapy, some may not. Some may have medications, some may not. It all depends. You can also a lot of people will come in and just start out to get their feet wet and do respite. So they may take, a child within our program for a week or a weekend or a night, whenever needed. We always need somebody for respite. And then if they decide, okay, I want to open it up and do it full time, you can, or you just wait till the right fit comes in, because that's the biggest thing is putting a match in, because you don't want to put in a child in a home for it just to be another displacement. So that's basically in a nutshell what treatment foster care is.
Mm-hmm. And you guys do good work. Steve's
and
awesome
and
there
and
too.
also the other thing is not all of them, you know, we do. So we have treatment level, we have medically fragile, and we have teen mother. So a lot of them are the therapeutic, and it's more of mental health and behaviors. But the great thing about going with the ARC as well is because we have you guys. So we have kids that have IEPs. So if we have, you know, somebody we need that has specific questions and need help with advocating, we can go to family support services, you know, some of the camps and the social skills classes. So we always have, and then we even actually have, we have a treatment foster care child that was through us that is actually on the flip side an adult now, and is in one of our homes. So it's just a great connection all around, because you can.
And we had one of your last year, one of your children, youth in your program was actually a volunteer for our camp.
Yes. So that's treatment foster care.
And then last, but certainly not least, and saving the best for last, we have the family support services, which is of course my department, and that's why it's my favorite. We are the only one that really does entire lifespan, from birth to end of life, and you don't have to have a differing ability. We help anybody. We call it the no wrong door approach. So if you call us and you need help and you don't live in Hartford or Cecil, we'll give you the basic rundown. If we know it, then here's an ARC in your area. Here's some places in your area that could probably help you better than we can. So I've had calls from like Prince George's. I'm like, well, I don't know much about it, but here's the ARC of PD that probably knows a little more than I do about that area. We've had people from out of state call us because we're thinking of moving here. So we give them resources. We've had other agencies in Hartford and Cecil County calling us because they have clients and hey, you know, we need some help. Can you give us some resources? We've had internal, whether employees coming to us or I have the case managers come from, one of our other departments come over. Hey, I have an individual. Can you give me some resources? So we don't turn anybody away. We find resources from whoever. We do have a small family fund that we can help families with emergency expenses. So once a year, dip it into, whether it be like you got an emergency, like a turn off notice, or you have a lot of things I do, or wheelchair tie downs because insurance doesn't cover those. So things like that, or, they haven't met the deductible yet. Their child needs braces, as in like leg braces, those kinds of things. So we help out where we can in that way. We also have, as you mentioned, we don't call it social skills anymore. We're calling it game night. Okay. It got a better ring to it, and teenagers are more apt to go. And we meet once a month. We're going to start for the summer. They're going to revamp the program a little bit. But we're meeting once a month. They just play. We have volunteers come in and they just play games. And it's kind of teaching them that social interaction of game playing and getting to meet other people. We also have, we also go to resource fairs, kind of like you did, Karen, go out to them and get the word out and find resources. Some of our team, there's 3 of us, that we go out to the CCACs in Hartford and Cecil, and I'm on the state one, to get resources out and bring information back to our families. We have a monthly newsletter that is free that we send out via email. We do not spam your email if you give it to us. It's mainly our newsletter, and every once in a while we'll send out some other things like, hey, we do parent trainings, parent workshops once a month. So we might send out a reminder, hey, this is coming up. If you want to RSVP, we can give you the information to come. They're free. We don't charge for that. We do have our summer camp, which is full this year. We're on a wait list. It starts next week. So of course, it's pretty much done. We're not really taking anybody else at this point. And it's Camp Spark, and it runs for 2 weeks this year. And it's inclusive, so anybody can go from age 6 to 21. It's one of the only things that really has an upper age limit on it, just because of the way the regulations run for camps. But sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. It's a lot of work for our team, but it's really enjoyable. We have volunteers coming, as well as we hire part-time staff or temporary staff to help us run the camp and go on field trips and things like that.
And each one has, do you still do it with setup where it's each one still has a buddy?
No, we're not going to do each, because that would get to be too much, because some of them don't need that one-on-one buddy. If they need a one-to-one buddy, yes, but some of them, we can be like a group of 2 or 3.
Okay.
We kind of kept it small. We have 10 each week. So it's kind of, 2 groups of 5, and then have a couple of volunteers in there. So we can make it more manageable for the field trips. It's not so overwhelming. We go these places and we have just as many volunteers, if not more than we have campers. Some of the places are like, well, they didn't kind of like that. But we have a lot of people coming in and going out. So that should be fun. And we're kind of looking at doing some things going forward of different things that families have said they wanted. We're looking at some different parent day outs, like maybe something we could have the kid drop the kids off for a couple hours and the parents go out, or looking into doing maybe day trips for the individuals instead of having camp next year, because we understand camp is the only thing that really charged for.
Right.
Social skills and camp. Or it's going to be game shop, but that's going to change. We're going to move game night. We're going to revamp that whole program, because even that small amount of money seems to be a barrier to families. We're trying to find what can we do to decrease as many barriers as possible. So we're looking at different options. Even though our camp is very competitively priced, if not lower than some other ones, it's still a lot, especially in this economy right now, and everything's highly expensive. So we're cognizant of that, and we hear the families say that. So we're kind of looking at what we can do to support them, but still, not go into a deep hole either.
Right.
Because I still have to answer to our CFO. So, I still have to figure things out and kind of do what we can do. But the agency itself understands, and the board, that this is a very important program, and have promised, to keep funding us. And even though we consider ourselves the only unfunded quote unquote department, because we don't charge for the services except for just to get like the camp costs and the game night costs and things like that. So we have a team of 3.
Okay. And what do they
it's myself, I'm full-time. Then I have another full-time, Joy, who's not full-time now. I don't know if she was full-time when you left. And then I have a part-time 20-hour staff, Kathy. We're all family navigators, as we call ourselves. All 3 of us have children of differing abilities, we have the whole spectrum. So we have the medically fragile, we have adult, we have mental health. So there is something that one of us can help you with if you call and find out. We need to kind of have everybody go to a central email, and whoever's kind of that specialty area will pick up that individual. But we tend to talk and all kind of, we meet and like, hey, we need to brainstorm about this. And we all kind of get heads together and kind of figure out what the best course of action is going to be. But it's,
so what can you expect if somebody calls you in? Of course, it depends upon the need and stuff. What can
absolutely. We do like a little intake.
What's the intake process?
So we have an intake, and we just get basic information at first, like the caller's name and their relationship, contact information, whether it be email, phone, whatever, the age of the individual you're calling about, their name preferably, because I hate just saying the person. I would like to, put a name to it. Their diagnosis, because that really does help us guide your services. And if they're in school, what school, and where do you live? Is it Hartford, Cecil, or elsewhere? So I can make sure I'm not giving you resources for Hartford and you live in St. Mary's. I want to make sure we're in the same, area. We will ask, because we are grant funded for some things, we ask for some identifying, just so I can report back to my grant. There's never a name. It does not, could we ask income, number of family, and then racial, only because I have to report back to the grant? That has no bearing on our services. It's just, we ask that. And then we ask, what have you done already? Because I'm not going to tell you things you've already done. That's just a waste of our time. So what kind of things have you already done? And what exactly are you calling about? What are you looking for? That way I can kind of guide. Then we usually go through, okay, here you're calling about this, but have you also we also make sure, does everybody in the family have insurance? If not, we help you try to find the health insurance. Have you thought about food stamps? You might qualify for that. Have you looked into disabilities or security? Have you looked into DDA, Developmental Disabilities Administration, if you have not already applied, those kinds of things, to make sure that maybe you're calling about this, but you may not know about these things over here. Right. The intakes can go anywhere but a half hour to hour, depending on the information. And if the families call, don't have that time right now, we will set up another time that's actually convenient to talk. Because I know I got a bad habit of calling families back and they're driving in the, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just something about me. So I always set up another time that's more convenient and we can sit and talk. And between the 3 of us, our hours are flexible. So sometimes if you work and you can't talk into 6 o'clock at night, we'll do that too.
Right. Yeah.
So we can kind of flex around and meet the family's needs.
Yeah, which is key.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's go over the website,
Sure.
because you guys offer so many amazing things, but you
Mhm.
guys also offer so many amazing things right there on the website. Like
Yes.
when people will ask me questions, I'll be like, all right, go to the website, go here, here, and here.
Mhm.
I said, and then go ahead and just email FSS at ARC NCR. Tell them
Yep.
I sent you.
Right. That's the easiest way that emailing. Until you work with one of us individually, email that one. That way you'll get a faster response than if you email just one of us, because one of us could be off or busy. And that way you get a quicker response. And we can, like I said, put you to where we think whoever's got the better expertise in that area.
Yeah. So let's go over them one by one. You can just kind of dive in a little bit extra,
Sure.
more in detail. So if you go to that website and go to the drop down to family services, support
Mhm.
services, and we have the resource guide. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. The resource guide was put together, not by us, before
Mm.
me. It was put together a couple years ago. And it's
By
for
Laura
it's
Hutton, who is an amazing individual herself.
absolutely, absolutely. It says it's for children of differing abilities in Harford County, but there is a lot of statewide services. So if you're not in Harford, like you're listening from Cecil or whatever, you can still use it. There's still plenty of things in there that are outside of Harford, but she was focusing on Harford. But it's online, and we do have a few paper ones for those that either aren't tech savvy, don't have a computer, things like that we can physically hand out.
And
Obviously,
it's
those
long. It's
would
like 18 pages or
Mhm.
26 pages or something like
And
that long.
it's
So
divided into different categories like financial, rec, things like that, of whatever you think you might need for your child or for your individual with a differing ability.
yep. Next one is the IEP breakdown, which is
Mhm.
amazing that you guys all
This
started
is
going to
right.
the
It is
video.
it's a video series. It's broken down to 45 to 1 hour minute segment. 1 hour minute. Oh my goodness. 45 minute to an hour long segments. Whew. I might need another cup of tea here in a minute. But it goes through someone who it's done in the way as if someone's never done IEP before. So it takes you from the very basic steps and goes all the way out. So you can kind of, if you know a little bit, you can go to the first one. Okay, I can skip forward and go to where you need, or it's a great refresher.
Pressure.
You can do it on your own time. And that's a lot of times when parents call us and they want help with the IEP. We're like, look, we're scheduled time to talk because we need you look at the IEP, have time to look over. Meanwhile, go to this and kind of glance over that and get an idea. So our goal is to not go to every IEP with you. A lot of times we don't anymore because there's only 3 of us, but we want to teach you how to do it so that you can do it on your own, empower you that you can do it on your own, because you can. Families can if we just have the right tools and resources.
Yes.
And that's a good start of that IEP breakdown. I believe it's only, let me double check. I think it's only 5.
So 6-part series on understanding.
Well, the 6th one is future planning. It's not really IEP per se. They just kind of tap it in there. It's 5 sessions. The 6th one's purely future planning.
Okay. All right.
We just still good information.
Yeah.
But so we think it maybe 5 hours total. You can do it in between, whatever, and it goes through the entire IEP process.
Awesome. And then the next one is Camp Spark, which we already talked about.
Correct.
This will be coming out late. You guys will already be past this. So just stay tuned if it's something that you're interested in for next year, and or if they revamp that and just go to small, they may, instead of doing that, do smaller like day trips.
Right. We haven't said we're going to tell them what the family wants. It really, we're kind of what the families need, and that's kind of where we're kind of shifting and pivoting for.
Right. So if that's something you guys are interested in, make sure you reach out so that way you can get your opinion.
And our newsletter, if you on our website, if you email us fss@arcncr.org and say you want to be added to our newsletter, we can certainly add you onto our monthly newsletter. All kinds of resources come out in that, as well as dates of upcoming things that we're having, that Harford and Cecil are having. There's CCACs listed on there, local resources, as well as information about the agencies doing, as well as our own department. So it's really chock full of information.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The next one is social skill classes, which you'll have to get, I'm going to say you'll have to get Nathan to revamp.
Yeah, I know. He's been a little busy. So that's one of the things that changed that name went to game night. It initially was a social skills class. It was virtual because it started during the pandemic. And then we moved to hybrid. Then we went to fully in person, and the kids seem to love it. I say kids. They're all kids to me. But they love doing it. As really Joy's baby. She kind of runs that program a lot more. I've gone to help. They just have pizza and snacks, and they just come and play games, whether it be, I think Magic the Gathering is played, Uno, they love Pictionary. I saw last time they were playing chess. So it really is just, they kind of migrate to whatever games they want, and they sit there and have a great time, meet
Do
some
they
new
have
friends.
set days and times, or is it every month,
It
or
is on
how
the
can
newsletter.
people?
Our last one for this session is July 20th.
I have to look in more into that too for
I don't
Facebook.
know when this is actually going to be broadcast, if that's going to be before or after July 20th.
Okay.
But if they get on the newsletter, they can get on the upcoming ones. And you don't like, let's say, oh my goodness, I missed the first one. You can still catch it. You don't have to do the whole series. You can do one here and there because families are busy.
Right.
But it's usually on the evenings.
Okay,
An
cool.
evening. We're going to start trying to do them the same time as our parent workshops that we hold. So you can have your kids go to the game night and the parents can stay, talk, and get some information and some fellowship. And then it's all at the same time, and it's kind of a little break for the parents too.
Now, when you
I shouldn't say parents.
When you do your workshops for the parents, I know in the past they talked about, and I think they even did videos, some of them, and put them.
We did, but we're not doing that anymore because they're in person. It's kind of harder to do that. We don't have that same cool setup like Nate and you all do. So at this point, we might just do like a little summary, or if there's a PowerPoint that the presenter will let us put on there, we might put them onto the website instead.
Yeah, presenters, that would be awesome. And then we have the lending library, which that was my job, going through all of those when I was over there. I'm like, oh my gosh.
By the way, we got some new books. Can you come back and finish?
Yeah, no. But I started that, and then it transitioned on to the next person that came over when I went full-time at treatment foster care.
Yep. They live in my office, but it's online. You can click on it, and you can go look by title if you know what title. You can look under by category, like we have some for foster care children. We have some on ADHD, autism, whatever you'd be looking for. Oh my goodness, you may be looking for. You can click on there, and then if there's a book you find that's interesting, you would email us, and we just kind of fill out a form. It's a free lending library. You fill out a form so we know who has it. Then you bring it back when you're done.
Yeah, I remember I took one in on the special needs trusts back then.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I don't know how many books off the top of my head. There's got some new ones that aren't on there yet. I need to add. Yeah, I just on my list of things to do.
So I love that you guys offer resources and support to empower families and individuals when it comes to discovery and navigation, networking and connecting, and programs and training. So the next section is brilliant in the way that you all have it set up. So they have the resource icons listed about out by life domain. So life domains are the different aspects and experiences of life that we all consider as we age and grow, such as daily life, community living, and healthy living. Everyone, whether they have a disability or not, they have to figure out what are they going to do during the day? Go to school, volunteer, get a job. Where are they going to live? How are they going to stay healthy and safe, and so on? So with that being said, let's go a little bit deeper into each domain. And then you can tell us a little bit more. So we have one, daily life and employment.
Right. It's pretty much self-explanatory and when I kind of do this with families, it's hard to think of what do you want, especially with these individuals. So I start off by saying, what don't you want? And that is so much easier for anybody. Like you can ask any teenager, what do you want to do when you get out of high school? I don't know. What don't you want to do? Oh, well, so it's easier to start that way and say, okay, well, if you don't want this, how do we prevent that? And then we can kind of change the conversation going forward. So daily life and employment, this is primarily once you leave the school system. You can get a job in school, but primarily it's when you're done school because you want to focus on education before. And in this one, it kind of goes over all the different programs that are out there, like Department of Health and Services, Human Services, DOORS, any of those kinds of supported employment programs, secondary education, those kinds of things, what you want to do outside of school. Just like anybody, what do you want to do?
And I love that once you click on it, that it has all of the links. So you can just click on the link and it'll bring you to that website.
Yep.
It's just so much information. Okay. So next one, home support.
Yes. So home support is basically how and where you live. So are you going to continue living in the family home? Do you want to get a home on your own? Do you want to live with a group of friends? What does that look like for you? And I don't know if where you're going to live is, do you need to adapt the home at all? Do you need ramps added? Do you need handrails in the bathroom? What is that going to look like in your home? And then if, wherever you live, do you need transportation to get to school or college or whatever to work? What does that look like? Are you able to get on the bus? Are you able to use Hartford Link or whatever? And what kind does that look like? So that's all those kinds of things, and what kind of services to keep you where you want to live. Where do you want to live your best life?
Yep.
And again, if you look, there's a whole bunch of links in there of
Yeah,
all
there's like
different
20 something links in there.
I'm not going to count them, but sure. There's a lot of different, and it's not just stuff for at home, because there's some community things too, because recs and parks and things like that, because it's not just, you know, in your house. You want to know, it's like anybody, like when we bought this house, what's in the area that we can do? You know, what's around that we can do, which cool. I mean, there's a park literally in my back. I have a gate in my backyard to the park behind me. It's really cool. I call it my private entrance. It's probably really not, but you know, I consider it that way anyway. So it's really nice to have, you know, that kind of stuff. And everybody wants that, you know, what's the closest grocery store? Well, how do I get there? And that's all stuff that's considered in there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Safety and security.
Right. So this would be staying safe and secure in whatever way that looks like for that individual, whether that be, do you know what to do in an emergency? Do you know to call 911? Do you know when and how to call 911? You know, not everything is that kind of emergency. Well-being. Do you know how to make a doctor's appointment when you're sick? Do you need guardianship? Is that an option? Or can you do supported decision-making, legal rights, those kinds of things? Voting. Is this something that this individual will be able to do, or they be able to make decisions? So all that is in there, as well as food safety. So there's food stamps. How are you going to feed yourself? How are you going to get bills? How are you going to maintain whatever is you're living? Even if you live with families or a group, you still need to find out ways of getting that income in, especially if you don't have the ability to work enough or don't want to. Mm-hmm. It's because don't want to sound so horrible, because I don't mean it that way, but sometimes it's just not, because the effort of getting all the support is more than what it would be worth to actually work.
Right. And I also, for those that are listening, that they have the Maryland Able listed in there. I did do an interview with them. So that's, if you go, you know, through my podcast, you can get an interview on all of that. Because
they're actually in a couple categories, honestly, I think.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Well, some things really are in multiple categories. Yeah. So
yeah,
you never know how someone's going to look for things. You want to make sure that's, and I find Able is one of those things that a lot of people just don't know about. So.
Yeah, and it's important. Okay,
that's one of the things on our intake that we tell them about. So healthy living kind of tags onto safety and security as far as the accessing healthcare and knowing what to do that. But it's also staying well. Do you know how to eat healthy? Do you know what that looks like? Making your well visits for medical, dental, vision, if that's a thing for you. Mental health, and your behavior. How does that look outside the school system? Because adult services are way different than child services, you know. So what does that look like? So it's all those kinds of resources that can help the individual or the family with healthy living and whatever with mental health or physical health looks like.
Yep. Social.
We have to move. Oh, I just found a broken link on here. I got to fix. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Social and spiritually.
Correct. That's what we all like. We all want to have that social connection. So this is basically covers friendships, relationships, and not just boyfriend, girlfriend, but just any kind of relationship you have with your neighbors, your working relationship, any kind of religious, whether you want to go to church, synagogue, or you don't want to go, whatever, leisure activities, those kind of things, that personal network of support. And they would have links in here for like the library, like the Jewish community, Special Olympics, those kinds of things in here to help get connected, just to have that connection to your community. And whatever
add in Best Buddies and also Mount Zion's I can't even say it, their ministry, because I'm going to interview them too.
I can't say either.
I can't say that.
They
have one of the largest special needs ministry in the country. They're the top 1 through 25 in the country. It's amazing.
They are awesome. Yeah, this definitely needs to be updated, but it kind of got backseat because we had a lot of other agency things going on with our 75th anniversary. So it kind of trickles down and we're doing a lot of things. So he's going through here soon and we have to tell him this is what we want to update on the website.
All right. Citizenship and advocacy.
Say that again 3 times fast.
Yes. Citizenship and advocacy.
Right. This is just basically your value. How does this individual want to be in their community? What kind of goals they want, assuming responsibility and driving forward of their life, not necessarily driving a car, but how does that look for their life going forward? Do they want to get into advocacy? Do they want to do some, or can they do some things that we all have, like jury duty or voting, like I mentioned before, those kinds of things. So it's all those kinds of links to help. What do they want to do? What kind of life do they want to have and drive their own force forward? There's things like the Arc Maryland, which is our overarching statewide advocacy, people on the go, a lot of governmental, if they want to go on boards and things like that. There's plenty of state boards that are required by statute to have X many people of certain areas, like so many parents, so many individuals, so many, of different agencies. So there's plenty of opportunities to do any kind of advocacy if that's the direction you wish to go.
Yep. Perfect. Then it takes it a step further and breaks it down by life stage. So they have prenatal and infancy, early childhood, school age, transition, adult and aging. So for instance, Faith, she's in the transition phase from school age to adulthood. So I would click on the transition icon and go from there. So you can go, do it however which way you want, go through those life domains or by the life stages, which is awesome.
Because some people don't know what they need. So if you go to life stage, it helps you figure out kind of what you need at each stage and when you should start applying for different things.
Yeah, which is amazing. And then lastly, it has a section for frequently asked questions. And I think this is like one of the biggest sections, which is what are the most commonly needed applications?
Yes.
So I definitely want to briefly go over the ones listed. I know we could spend an entire day on each one, but I think it's important to touch on them. So if you can tell us what each one stands for, what it is, and when does it come into play? So first we have DOORS.
Correct, which is Department of Rehabilitative Services. This one is usually school should be doing it, but it's usually about 14 or your first year in high school. And they kind of get you into different programs to they call it pre-ETS, I forget what the ETS stands. I think it's Employment Training Services, where they kind of bring it in and see where you are and teaches you pre-employment skills, resume writing, things like that. Yeah, and these are all services that are free, as long as you're qualified for it, which is basically having a disability and you live in the county you're applying in and that kind of thing. And all the way up until your final year in school, you can get connected to them to see if they need more of a help finding jobs, work-related, finding supported employment, and things like that. So it's really important to do that application. You don't have to wait for the school. You can certainly do it yourself.
And I was going to say, I wouldn't even wait for the school because of the fact of my experience from the time she was 14 up, they gave you the paperwork on it, but nobody said, well, here's this application, do this or do that. The only reason why I knew was because of my involvement with the ARC.
Yep.
So a lot of things they may present to you, make sure you go one step further into following up on, well, when is it? What is it about? Ask questions. Call Angela.
Call my team, not just me. Yes, absolutely. Then the next one is LIST application, which is low intensity support services. It just closed for the round one because July 15th is the drawing. July 1 is when it closed. So July 15th, they're going to do a random draw. And it's basically anyone that has any kind of developmental disability and lives in the state of Maryland. And if you go on that site, it has different areas for what county you live in and where you apply, but it's an online link. And you just put that in, then they do a random lottery of who gets it. And it's $2,000 per fiscal year. Basically fiscal year. And then once you get it and they say, okay, they picked your name, so they picked Faith, yay. And then you kind of give more information to make sure you truly do qualify, because you can't be any of the waiver programs. Like obviously Faith wouldn't qualify anymore because she gets DDA funding elsewhere. Right. But for those that are on the waiting list or don't, you can use it for all kinds of things. I've used it because Jake's on the waiting list. We've used it for adaptive clothing, for therapeutic course, pushback riding. We've done when he was younger, we got adapted car seats for him. We've used it for partially for his dry suit that he has to get in because he can't get his stuff wet. So you can use it for a lot of different things. It has a whole listing of what you can use it for. And the next one should open up. I don't have the dates in front of me. But if you click on there, it tells you, brings you to the website, and it can tell you can apply online. And then the next one, it's they don't draw it until November or December.
Yeah, I almost feel like if you don't get it the first round, you get it the second round. I know at least that's how it's.
But you do have to reapply. You can't just, they don't.
Right, you have to reapply.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's what happened with Faith. We now I know, and it also is. It depends upon your county too. I feel like. Like when I talk
And
to
how
other
many people and how many, and
yes,
it really depends how many people apply and all that kind of stuff. So,
exactly.
yeah.
There's so many things that play into it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Now
then
I have to give to him because the list application, here's the physical one. I got to have him put the actual link to list on there
okay.
because now it's completely online. You don't mail the application anymore.
Really? Oh, well, that's
Yep.
cool.
Completely online. So it's great.
Yeah.
They prefer it that way. And then the last one is DDA application, which is Developmental Disabilities Administration. And that one you should apply the minute you think, even if you don't 100% sure, you think that your child may need some kind of support when they reach adulthood, apply. Because you can apply as early as I applied for my son when he was like 6 months old. He's in a waiting list. We didn't need a DDA supports when he was an infant. They do have some for children in the family supports waiver, but primarily do a lot more when they're over 21 for those all the other programs we mentioned at our agency. My agency, is not yours anymore, sorry. Community living and all that kind of stuff. DDA pays for these kind of things. So you don't want to wait until you leave high school because transition youth have priority. And that's that transition youth, the ones coming out of high school, going into adulthood. So you don't want to wait. Do it as soon as you think that you might have any issue, you might need any kind of support, because you can always be like, you know what, never mind, they outgrew it, we're fine. And that's cool.
Right. And that's what happened with Faith. I had signed her up when she was 6 or 7.
Mhm.
Again, the only reason why I knew about it was because of the ARC and the family support services. And that is the first thing I tell anybody or everybody. It doesn't matter. Fill it out, sign it, get it done, because you don't know whether your name's going to come up or not. Faith.
Right.
So Faith was signed up when she was 6 or 7. Her name finally came up on the waiting list when she was 17. So that's when we started getting her supports. And then when she's 21, it'll leave family support the family support waiver and go over to the community.
Well, there's 2 different ones. It depends on whatever one works for her.
Yeah. And so yeah, and it opens up doors because sorry, my dog is dreaming right now.
We can't even hear her. I see her, but I can't hear her.
Yeah, she's dreaming. So and just so you know, some of the different things that are supported is respite, personal supports. It could be technology, it could be therapeutic horseback riding or different camps, or it could be adaptive. What is the word? Faith is now getting, it got approved. She's going to be getting a tablet, and she's going to be getting, it's called Dolphin Guide.
Adaptive equipment. Adaptive communication.
Accessible. Assisted technology. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. So
technically that's 2 words, Karen.
Yes. So, but it's very, very important. Follow up and complete that application. There was another application too. I'm trying to think of what happens because I don't know, because I'm not in the field, but for like the autism waiver, like is that like a totally different application that they would fill out?
Yes, that one is through the school system.
Okay.
MSDE runs that one.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot that's offered and stuff for people with autism that I don't know, because Faith is more medical.
Right. That one has a lot of behavior supports and respite. There is a waiting list for that one. And that one does end when you graduate or 21.
Okay. And then also too, like stuff I didn't know, which I found out from you and also through Faith, that when she got her Social Security, then she also got, well, put it this way. She got on the waiver. And did that qualify her for Medicaid, or no? She got Social Security.
No, Social Security would qualify for Medicaid.
Okay, so
and when you turn 18, you're a family of 1, so your parents' income no longer matters. So like for my son and for Faith, they're not working, so they have an income of 0. They qualify for Medicaid.
Right. Okay. So then she got the Medicaid, and with Faith, she was costing them too much money with all of her doctors and all that other stuff. They actually went ahead and completed for the REM, the rare and expensive management. So she has the REM program, and now that opened up doors for the community CFC. What does it stand for?
Community First Choice.
First Choice. So, but they're take even longer than DDA to get things done. But there's like so many ins and outs. Like it's so much that to grasp, and so much that you don't know could be available. That's why it's so important to ask questions and reach out. And again, it's so amazing to have you guys as like a one-stop shop.
Right.
And if it's not something one of you know, okay, I'm going to ask you, or, you're
right.
going to find
we know
out.
where to look and get that information.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Between us and the agency, we can always find the question. We might have had it right then. I might be like, let me call you back. I'll get to the information, but we'll definitely find it. And because I've been stumped a few times, I get this really one-off and you're like, wow, I've never even thought about that. I'm going to have to get back to you. There's one-off because they're out there. There's one-off situations. You're like, never thought about that. Let's take a look at that, and we find out.
Yeah. So I know another question I get a lot is regarding the acronyms. Do you guys have a list of what they stand for? Maybe you can forward it to me.
I don't think we have a complete one, but I'll have to take a look and see what we have and send you what we do have.
Okay.
Because there's always so many ones. We made up, there's ones we missed. But we can certainly find something.
I know that we did a workshop one time, and it was great because they Flossie, when she worked there, they had made the Jenga and had the acronyms on it.
Now,
so
in the IEP breakdown does have a lot of the acronyms in it.
Good, because I know that stumps a lot of people. Let me see what else. You already went over what your role is and the staff's role is. You already went over the intake process and what that would look like. And then you said that you did offer certain funding, the small grants.
Right. It is limited because it's a very small grant. So it's kind of one of the things I put out there a whole bunch because it usually gets depleted pretty quick.
Right. So. And then the other one too is a DHS. I know that you help people.
We can help them. Hartford and Cecil both have a little bit of money for respite. I can guarantee you Hartford's done already because they opened it up July 1st and they take the first X many depending on how much funding, and that's all. So I can probably tell you at this point, they're probably already done, but it doesn't hurt to call and find out. And then Cecil County runs a little different program. They have some as well, but it all depends on how much money they get from their donors. And that's how much respite they can put out. And it's getting less and less, unfortunately.
Right. And I know you guys, I'm almost positive in that list too. It has a list of different like places where people can find funding. Because I remember you had given
what list? Which one are you talking about?
Just different avenues, like how the one that I told you guys to add for the Elks, the Jernick funds. So people are looking for funding, and I'll just plug the Elks right now too because I'm supposed to have an interview with them. But that is anybody from birth to 21 that has a special need. It can be up to $2,000. Doesn't mean you're going to get that, but you submit what you want. I know we've done adaptive bikes. We've done we help somebody with funding for hearing aids, therapeutic horseback riding. So you do an application through them. It has to go through the local board and the state board, and then they give you the money. But there were a few other ones that you had told me about too, and I can't think of them off the top of my head.
And I don't know what I told you because I've talked to so many people, but we use that same resource guide. I also have the resource guide for Hartford County, and then we just have some that we save on our own interweb that we can keep as we find them. We put them there so we all can access them again for our families that need them. Because we don't want to just give out a list of here's all these places because that is so overwhelming to families. Because a lot of them have specific requirements, whether it be diagnosis, area you live in, age, whatever. So it's easier for us to just give you several than to give you here's this gargantuan list.
Right. And so, and with that being said too, if anybody knows of any other places that are doing specific grants or funding for individuals with special needs, that would be great for you guys to reach out to them so they can add it if they don't have it.
Correct.
So is there anything else that you want to touch on that we haven't covered yet? Or is there another topic you'd like to come back to do a deeper dive into?
You've got a lot of it. I know on the website, you can also click down on this frequently asked questions about how can I stay up to date with events. It has our email in there about talking about adding to our newsletter. So it's always there. If you didn't get it when we were talking, you can go to the website. It's listed on there. But when you go to our website, arcncr.org. FSS. Yeah.
NCR.org is the website.
Yeah, but you gotta do FSS for us, for my department.
I just go to the drop down and services.
You can do that too. But if they want to email us directly, that's the email that goes to my team.
Oh yeah, the emails FSS
That's what
at
I mean.
ARC.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I was giving them the website.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was with the emails FSS at ARC NCR. Right. That we can ask any question, you can do, whatever.
And if you want, if anybody is willing or wanting to volunteer, the development are always looking for people to help to sit on. They have different committees where you can sit on for their gala. They have the golf tournament. So definitely reach out to them as well.
Right. There always need volunteers, even if it's just, once or twice here and there, or whatever. You certainly can use them, as well as if you're looking for a job. We got plenty of opportunities there.
Yes. So what advice would you give as a mom and as a worker in the field to those who are overwhelmed and don't even know where to begin?
Reach out to us. Ask for help. Reach out to us. We can kind of guide you in what you need. There's no judgment. I've had more than one cry on the phone. It's fine. We've all been there. It's helpful to have that voice at the other end to kind of, the voice of reason. Here's what you want to do now. Here's what you want to do next. And sometimes you just need that to get through the overwhelmingness of okay, I got so much stuff to do. Well, let me help you prioritize a little bit.
And you also need to for those hard talks. Like, when Sue was there, she sat down, she's like, all right, this is gonna be a hard talk when we were doing about the special needs. And, she threw those tough questions out that a lot of people can't handle or don't want to even acknowledge that you have. It's so important to prepare for stuff.
Absolutely. So, what are you going to do? What's going to happen when you're not there?
Yeah. And I also too just want to add before we wrap up that, get involved and go to the workshops, because you're going to meet so many other families out there and just learn from each other.
And they're free. Yeah. They are free. We don't charge you anything for the workshops to come in and get some information. The only thing we ask is to fill out a survey on your way out, so we can see how we did. And if you have any other topic ideas that maybe we didn't think of, it'd be great. We'll listen. We'll take them.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out and being on the show. And for everyone else, thank you so much, and tune in next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us as we spread awareness through our personal stories and the many resources shared. You can help us by joining our village simply by sharing our show to the masses. If you would like to support the Guilbault Girls on another level, click on the link in the show notes to make a donation in any amount. Add your address and you'll receive a hand-stamped token with the word village on it in appreciation. Be sure to subscribe to our Guilbault Girls podcast and YouTube show, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Guilbault Girls. Till next time.